Hello, guys. Today I'd like to talk about adult life. So, what about it? Um, I know many teenagers. I know many young people. I'm a teacher. I have adult students. I have very young teenage students. I have a bit, let's say, older teenage students, young adults, and I see the differences between the generations. People say about snowflakes and SJWs and millennials criticizing and stuff. Uh, so let's talk about my generation, right? Or my parents' generation. Let's talk about my parents' generation first. So my parents, they were born in a time here in Brazil. So remember, everything I say here is my point of view, a Brazilian's point of view. So my parents, they were born in a time where people used to live still in small towns, in the farm. Most of people in Brazil, of course, we had big cities too, but lots of people lived in farms or small towns. The Industrial Revolution, it took a while to come to Brazil, like maybe 100 years later than the rest of the world. Anyway, during the 50s, the 60s, people started moving to big cities, and that was started to happen more and more. So my father, for example, he was raised in a farm. My mom, some part of her childhood in farms, and then she moved to a small town, and then so people had to work. They had to start work in a very young age, like working, helping their parents in the farm, right? I was lucky enough to be born during a time uh, when I didn't have to work as a child. Like my parents, they focused when it was about me. They focused in studying, you know, and and I studied hard. I studied a lot, but the things were a bit different with them. So since they had to work so hard, maybe they thought, well, I don't want my kid to go through all I had to go through. I understand that, and that's still happening. There are some people, they not as old as my folks, but uh, people who are like a bit older than me, but younger than my parents. They are like doing the same now that they have studied, so they have a better financial condition. uh, they don't want their kids to start working as even as teenagers. uh, they want like to protect their kids. People say a lot about generations, that this today's generations is lost because they don't know how to be adults. I don't think it's completely lost, but I can see that. I mean, I was lucky enough to be born in a time where I saw the typewriters being substituted by computers. I saw the Walkmans being substituted by like a Discmans, and then they were replaced by MP3 players, iPods, and now we do everything in the cell phone. I'm filming this using a smartphone, and so things are easier today, and that may be a problem. I see many teenage students. Some of them, they come to me and they complain about stuff like, oh, teacher, it's so hard at school, lots of homework to do. My teacher is very strict. He doesn't understand me when I'm tired, or it seems like the teachers, they don't care uh, that I have a lot of work to do. And that's the thing that they say, like, it's so frustrating, all of this. And maybe they don't understand that this is nothing compared to adult life. Frustration is important, because when you become an adult, if you are young and you are watching this, remember this, like put a note like on the mirror and read it every day. When you become an adult, you will feel frustrated a lot. It will happen a lot. You will feel frustrated, like with your boss, with your work. Make you, maybe you don't make a good amount of money in the beginning, and then it's like you were promised that, look, son, if you study a lot, you will go to college, and then everything will be fine. You won't have to go through all I did. I mean, our parents, they sometimes they tell this to us, like, when I was your age, I had to go through a lot because I didn't study. But if you study, right, you won't have to go through it. And unfortunately, that's not true. I understand that the parents, they don't do this on purpose. Maybe since they didn't go through this, like, some of them didn't go to college, and some of them didn't live in a big city when they were young, so they don't understand how that is like, how that feels like, being a young person today. It's like they say, when I was your age, I had two jobs. And then the son, the daughter says, I wanted to have two jobs, but I have none because it's not easy to find a job today. And then the parents say, yeah, but you have a degree. And then you try to explain your dad, your mom, like, but I'm not the only one. Everyone else has got a degree. So that means like nothing. Like all the dogs and cats, even the pets may have a degree these days. Uh, you can have a degree like this, education. I don't know if the English term for that, like education by distance, where you study you study in the using cameras, and the teacher is another part of the country teaching you. And like maybe the name is like this, education by distance. So having degree today is very easy, is easier than before. And maybe when our parents, when they were young, things were different. Like when you saw someone that had a degree, that person would be very successful in life, because not everyone had a degree like today. So having a degree is not special anymore. And the parents, they don't get it because they're from another generation. Their reality they lived in was different, and they can see it because they don't live among teenagers. They don't live among young adults. They don't know. And then we teachers, not only an English teacher like myself in a private English teaching institution, but regular teachers at school and college, they live with these young people. They live among them, uh, and they see it. They see what these young people are going through. And sometimes it's hard because the parents, they only live with people like that are in the the same age, like with other adults, or with other old people, like if they are old. So and then they raised their kids, protecting them, and thinking they were doing the best, but they were not, because now these kids are not prepared. I see lots of them, like they turn 18, turning 17, and starting college. Then when they get out of and it is interesting, like some of them, they are not able to go to college right after they finish high school, and they get so frustrated because like college is in another city, and their parents don't have the money to you know to keep them fed and to pay the rent in another city. And if they want to go to another city, they have to work there, but they have to work and study at the same time. And when you work and study, it's so hard to keep concentration during classes. I've been through that when I started college. And it's funny, I studied information systems to work with I with information technology, and now I'm an English teacher. So maybe I'm not even using my degree. Uh, so when I started, I wasn't working. My parents were helping me financially, and in the ending, like I started this internship, and then that internship turning into a job, and I started working in the last 2 semesters, and I saw the difference of focused in study and having to you know to divide your time, your day, between working and study. It's not the same. The concentration is not the same. You when it's like you study at night, you are tired because you worked the whole day. You got stressed uh, in your job, because there's a stress. Working is stressing. I mean, working with people, it gets you stressed. So and then these young people, they have to do this. They have to work, and even if they don't have to work, even the parents have the money to send them to another city and pay for their studies. They have to solve everything by themselves. If there is a problem with the credit card, they have to go to the bank by themselves. If there is a problem, like maybe a problem with plumbing in the house, or a problem with electricity in the house, they have to make the calls. They have to stop what they're doing and calling people, buying equipment. Trying to solve the problems, and they feel so frustrated because that's adult life. I tell my student that adult life is a big who cares. Imagine this sentence, who cares, in front of you every day when you wake up. It's like they say, oh, teacher, Monday is so frustrating. When you are an adult, every day is a Monday, you know? And so, and then when people see that, they see these young people complaining and thinking that they are special and thinking that they are snowflakes, like engaging politically in things that let's change the world, but they can like organize their bedroom. I don't blame it all on them because they were raised like this. And what I see, I'm a bit disappointed with my generation when it comes to parenting, because lots of people, they are my age or a bit older than me, they're starting to get married, having kids, and they're raising their kids like in this wrong way, thinking more like the kid is very young and he comes home, mommy, all my friends have smartphones, I want one too. And okay, I will buy a smartphone for you because I don't want people, especially if you live in a small town, I don't want people telling that my kid can't afford a smartphone, that his family can't afford, uh, sorry, can't afford a smartphone. And thinking more about what their kids have than thinking more about what their kids are, about who they are, Uh, and there's a problem. It's like they enroll their kids in fancy schools, not because the quality of education there is better, but because they want to walk down the street and holding their kids' hands when their kids are wearing the uniforms. Here in Brazil, students use uniforms, so people look at you on the street like, oh, you are wearing a uniform from a fancy school, huh? Oh, your kid is wearing a uniform from a fancy school. Like they take pictures to post on Instagram. Like they take a picture of the kid. Oh my God, he's going to school for the first day at school. Or my kid is so dedicated. You see, we're going to school now. But of course, they make sure that the uniform is showing, in the picture. Um or they have their list, like here in Brazil, I don't know in your country, maybe in your country it's not like that, but the school, they give like a list of materials, of school supplies that you should give your kid so he can bring to the school. And then the list is printed at the school, so it has the symbol, the logo, the name of the school. So you go to the stationery shop with this very fancy list, right? I mean, it's okay. I mean, maybe the school is not. I mean, it's not because of fancy school that it's just fancy. If you have money to invest, you will have a nice school. You can hire good teachers, teachers that will ask for a higher salary because they can do it. If they are good teachers, they can, they can decide what salary they want to earn, they want to get. Uh, Nothing against that. You can have better equipment, you can have a better infrastructure, you have more money available. But it's not about the school itself, it's about the parents who go to that school and what they are thinking. They are raising these kids uh, with in the best schools, wearing the best clothes, with the best cell phones. I see kids with very expensive cell phones, like 9-year old kids with the top cell phones. 11-year-old kids, like it's okay. Maybe your kid has a cell phone, so if in any emergency you can call him or her. But does it have to be an expensive one? And if you give an expensive one to your kid, why? Sorry, is it because you want to make sure that the cell phone won't stop working, or that you'll have that cell phone for a long time? But then these teenagers, they just let the cell phone fall. It's like I used to tell my teenage students that every teenager's iPhone has a magnet that pulls it to the ground. It's because they are always cracked. Um and then the parents, they just go and buy another one, or they spend the money they have to fix it. So don't blame it on the kids. Sometimes we've got to blame on the parents. Like this generation, my generation, are raising kids like this, and it's so disappointing, you know, uh, seeing them like spoiling their kids. Let's say the word. Let's call things by the name. They're spoiling their kids, and it's so sad when they turn 18 and then they come to us saying that they are frustrated, that it's so hard, that they thought it would be different. And okay, I have to admit here, my generation was a bit different, but I was quite a victim of that too. But in the case of my parents, they were raised in farms, in small towns, baby. They didn't know what they were doing. They thought it was the best, but it wasn't. When I became an adult, I faced lots of frustrations that I thought I wouldn't face, because if I study hard and I dedicate at school, one day I will have my diploma and it'll be like I'm rich, Like can I skip the part where I have to study and work and go directly to the part I'm rich? No, I can't. No one can. And that's the thing. Even with the diploma, you don't have experience, so diploma is nothing. Uh, and then if you speak another language like English, people come desperate to my school, to our school, to me, to my wife, because they want to speak English, because they realize that a degree itself is not enough anymore. Uh, and then maybe in a few years, maybe even having a degree and speaking a good English here in Brazil won't be enough anymore. Maybe you'll have to speak English and French and German too, and Chinese, Uh, that's the thing. Um I mean, eventually they will learn, these kids, and they will learn about frustration, and they will learn about working hard and not only studying, and not only having their parents doing things for them, but if their parents have taught them before how life is, maybe they wouldn't be going through all that frustration now. They would be more prepared. So I feel sorry for these kids. I kind of understand them. I just don't blame on them, like, oh, you generation of snowflakes. The parents, they are to blame too. Uh, so I hope things change. I've seen these young kids, very young, like some 11-year-old kids. They are so independent. They can go and pay the bills if when the parents ask them to do so, because they don't have time, and they do it. Like, they go there, they pay the bills, they take the signatures and all that. And it's happening, not not that often, but it's happening more and more. So maybe people are getting tired of seeing teenagers like this and saying, no, my kid will be different, he or she will be more independent. I hope that our society becomes more and more like that. So these are my views. Maybe I'm wrong about lots of things, but I'm telling about what I'm seeing. And of course, I'm Brazilian, so I'm telling about things I see here in Brazil. Uh, so if you like my video, like it and subscribe. It helps me a lot. If you don't like my video, remember to tell me why you didn't like my video, right? So that's it, guys. Bye.